So for those people that aren't familiar with you, how would you sum up the Chloe-verse in 3 words?
Oh, the Chloeverse. Oh, to sum it up in 3 words is quite difficult. But if you were to choose a couple of words to
Mm.
describe the entity that I am, I would say dense. That's one. I can be pretty rock solid there. I would say I am quite positive. I try to be.
Okay.
Try to be quite positive. Just putting it out there into the world, hoping it comes back. It doesn't usually, but I'll keep doing it till they kick me down. And just totally effervescent. That I think that's just such a great word for me,
Well,
I
that's certainly
think.
nothing that we would ever use to describe Ben. So you're the first effervescent co-host I've had on the show.
Just don't ask me to spell it. All
Yeah,
right.
no, wouldn't. I was expecting you to say hot fucking mess. There's 3 words, but
Oh, yeah, well, no, I could have done that too, and it would have done perfectly.
So,
Especially the hot.
that's usually my catchphrase. Thank you.
Sorry.
So, usually Ben and I have a bit of a yak right now about what we've been watching, what's been going on. Have you been watching
hmm
anything cool lately?
I have, I knew I was coming on here and I had to do you proud. And for those who remember when I was back on the podcast or who do listen or watch up late with Glenn and I, you know that I am not the biggest fan of horror.
Yeah.
Right. So I have been slowly getting into different types of movies. I'm edging my way in. I'm not diving in
You're
full
edging.
throttle. I, um,
Keep it in the family.
so no, we're not from Tassie. I did you a solid,
Mm.
and did what I promised I was going to do, and I watched Black Phone the
Wow.
other day. I know you have to be so proud of me, and I told you you better give me props for this because I watched it, and I'm going to tell you something, Glenn.
Okay.
I Are we allowed to swear on this
Are you
podcast?
fucking joking?
Can't
Come
remember.
on.
I fucking loved it.
I
Loved it.
knew you would.
And I don't know what I was so worried about. There were a few moments where I did have to have my phone up, like with some sort of noise ready to play, because I was getting a little nervous, but it was all for nothing because it was just incredible.
It's a
I loved
very,
it.
very cool film. I think I described it at the time. It's like a bit Stranger Things in its sort of aesthetic, and
Yes.
I don't know what else I compare it to, but it's very dark and dank. And what I loved about it was the realism, like the adolescents, these kids when they got into schoolyard fights, it was real and it was brutal. And
Yeah.
the kids in this were great, particularly the little girl.
She was awesome. And I felt like, I know you're not allowed to say this anymore, but I just felt like she was my spirit animal. She was just feisty and she was just the cool little sister. And I loved their dynamic as well. And
Mm.
obviously, they had something to be close about dealing with, their father and that sort of situation. But like, I loved the way that they were with each other. I just loved how all the characters interacted, really. I just think it made so much sense. And I have to say, I'm not going to sort of blow it for or spoil it for anybody who
Mhm.
hasn't seen it yet, even though I'm probably the last person just to see it. But the ending made me so happy that I cried. Like
Oh
I
wow,
actually had tears in my eyes.
it's
And I
usually a
feel like
Melzy thing to do.
I feel like anyone who has young kids would feel the same way
Mhm.
because I was feeling it to my very core. Like it brought out things in me that no movie should ever do. And I just loved it for that. I really did.
Well, there you go, dipping your toes into the horror world and enjoying it. That's this is great. This is
Slowly,
great. No, you
slowly.
are. Come on, you are because you really enjoyed Barbarian, and there's been a
I
few others along the way.
know.
So
I
it's
know,
it's
I know.
it's all
So
happening.
you'll have to give me a recommendation for my next
All
one
right.
that I can work my way up to.
All right, cool. Cool. Oh, look, yeah, no, I'm really chuffed about that one.
Yeah.
I had a sneaky suspicion that's what you were going to bring to the table.
Yeah, yeah. I thought
Cool.
so.
Look, before we move on, I should just also mention that we've got a great episode lined up for everybody this week because, well, you're on it, so there's that. But this week, our special guest is Joe Anderson, a guy who some of you will know from Across the Universe, that musical with all the Beatles music they did a few years ago. He was also in the TV series Hannibal, and he's got a brand new movie coming out called The Devil Conspiracy, and we're going to chat about that and a few other things. Also coming up, we've got Joe Lewis, Chad Jennings, and James Thomas from the Bonehead Weekly podcast. That's the one from America, and they're going to be talking about a random topic, and who the fuck knows what that's going to be? We'll just have to wait and find out. But right now, let's bring Jarrett into the show and talk to him about all things physical entertainment. I'm sure he's got a bit to say about that.
I've no doubt.
How about a newsly plug as well?